No one in Whisperwood slept that night, because the lantern of memories began to glow on its own. At first it was only a soft shimmer, a flicker like a firefly lost in a jar. But then the light swelled, pulsing, beating like a tiny heart. Every creature who lived among the mossy roots and moonlit branches felt it, even the smallest ones. Especially Pipthorn. The little hedgehog had been curled beneath a fallen maple leaf, dreaming of warm clover and gentle rain, when the glow brushed across his face. It wasn't warm. It wasn't cold. It felt like someone softly whispering his name from very, very far away. Curiosity pushed him to follow the strange glow through the trees. The forest was unusually quiet, as if the branches were holding their breath. At the center of an old clearing stood a stone pedestal that no one had dared approach for generations. And upon it, the lantern. Tall as Pipthorn's own body, shaped from ancient silver and wrapped in roots that looked like holding arms, it throbbed with a golden pulse. Pipthorn stepped closer. The lantern's glass was fogged from the inside, swirling like captured mist. Then it happened. A single tear rolled down the inner glass, a tiny bead of light, trembling, alive. When it fell to the bottom of the lantern, it burst into a memory. Pipthorn gasped as an image sharpened, a kitten's face, soaked in sorrow, calling out for someone who never came. But Pipthorn didn't know that kitten. And the kitten was calling his name. The lantern dimmed again, waiting for him to choose whether to run, or to begin the journey it had summoned him for. The memory did not fade. Even after the lantern's glow settled into a soft, nervous tremble, the image of the crying kitten clung to Pipthorn's mind like a thorn caught in fur. Her voice, small, aching, desperate, kept echoing through him. "Pipthorn, don't leave me." But he had never met her. Never seen those silver-striped cheeks or those trembling whiskers. And yet, the memory felt familiar, as if it had been stitched straight into his heart. Pipthorn lifted the lantern of memories with both paws. It was surprisingly light, as if eager to be carried. When he stepped away from the pedestal, the lantern stretched a thread of golden light into the air and pointed toward the deeper forest. A direction. A calling. The path ahead led to the hollow briar, a place where even brave creatures rarely wandered. Rumors said the wind there forgot its own direction, and shadows sometimes walked without bodies. Still, Pipthorn followed. As he crossed the undergrowth, the lantern flickered again. Another tear slid down its glass. This time it didn't burst into an image, but into a sound. A single, fragile meow drifting through the branches. Pipthorn froze. It wasn't from the lantern anymore. It was coming from somewhere outside, somewhere real. He hurried forward, heart pounding, pushing through vines, stones, and old roots twisted like sleeping giants. But when he reached the clearing where the sound had come from, he found nothing except a small ribbon lying on a bed of purple moss. A kitten's ribbon. Warm. Recently dropped. As if the one who wore it had vanished only moments ago. The lantern's glow tightened, trembling in warning. Something else had been here too. And whatever it wasn't done taking memories. Pipthorn was still holding the kitten's ribbon when the forest suddenly shifted, like a breath drawn in too sharply. The lantern of memories flared, trembling in his paws, pulling him toward the treetops where the branches rattled as if arguing with the wind. Then he heard it. Not cries. Not warnings. But confusion. A chorus of puzzled voices. Who are you? Wait, who am I? Pipthorn hurried toward the sound until he reached Maplecrest Hollow, home of the friendliest squirrel clan in Whisperwood. Except today, they were anything but themselves. Dozens of squirrels darted in frantic circles, looking at each other as if they were strangers. Some clutched acorns and stared at them like they had never seen one before. Others kept introducing themselves only to forget their own names mid-sentence. When they noticed Pipthorn, they rushed toward him, desperate, shaking, terrified. "Little Hedgehog, have you seen our memories?" one begged. "We woke up and everything was gone," said another. "Our stories. Our families. Our own voices." Pipthorn raised the lantern. Its glow refracted into the air, revealing something horrifying, a long streak of pale, shimmering dust hanging above the hollow, broken off at the edges like a memory forcibly torn away. The lantern pulsed, showing him a flash. A dark tendril creeping through the hollow at dawn, brushing against each sleeping squirrel, drinking their memories like dew. The squirrels huddled around him, trembling. "Can you bring our memories back?" a tiny squirrel whispered. Pipthorn didn't know if he could. But the lantern flickered decisively, pulling him north, toward the river that whispered in fear. Something had stolen the squirrel's past. And it was still hungry. The river should have shown Pipthorn's reflection. Instead, it showed nothing at all. He stepped onto the smooth stones of Silver Flow Bend, the place where the water once shimmered like polished glass. But now the surface was dark and silent, an empty sheet, swallowing moonlight without giving anything back. Pipthorn leaned over the edge. His quills, his nose, his small round eyes, gone. The water had forgotten how to remember. The lantern of memories flickered nervously, its light thin and shaky. As Pipthorn lifted it higher, golden strands spilled out and skimmed across the surface of the river. The water quivered, then revealed something terrible. Not a reflection. A shadow. A tall, crooked silhouette slithering behind Pipthorn, even though nothing stood there. The shadow moved like a creature searching for shape, its edges rippling like torn paper caught in wind. Before Pipthorn could react, the river erupted in a sharp hiss, dozens of droplets rising into the air like tiny crystal sparks. Each droplet whispered fragments of memories stolen from the water, fish migrations, frog songs, moonlit dances of fireflies, gone. The river's voice, once gentle, now cracked in agony. "Thief, thief, thief." The word echoed faintly in Pipthorn's mind. He steadied himself and lowered the lantern closer to the water. A single tear slid down its glass, glowing brighter than before. When it touched the river, a vision burst outward, the same dark tendril from the squirrel's hollow, sliding beneath the water's surface, dragging reflections into the depths. Pipthorn's heart tightened. Whatever hunted memories, it was moving faster now. Stronger. Hungrier. And the lantern tugged him again, toward the forbidden valley where shadows were said to breathe. The hollow valley was waiting. Pipthorn had entered many strange corners of Whisperwood before, but none felt as unsettling as Mooncrest Perch, the lonely cliff where the oldest owl in the forest lived. The lantern of memories tugged him there with an urgency that made his tiny paws tremble. The moment he arrived, he sensed something was wrong. The air was thick, swirling with whispers that didn't belong to the wind. Memories, thousands of them, fluttered like silent moths across the branches. And in the middle of it all sat Thalen, the ancient owl, staring into nothing. His eyes glowed with too many stories. "Thalen?" Pipthorn called softly. The owl turned. His gaze was heavy, overflowing. "Little Hedgehog, do you know what it's like," he rasped, "to remember a life you never lived?" Before Pipthorn could answer, Thalen's feathers shivered violently. Images burst from him in sharp flashes: the birth of a fawn, a fox learning to hunt, a tortoise losing her mate, storms from centuries ago, memories from every creature, every era, all crammed into one mind. Thalen clutched his head with his wings. "I can't contain them," he whispered. "They are not mine. Someone poured them into me, to make room elsewhere." The lantern pulsed in warning. Pipthorn lifted it toward the owl, and a thin thread of golden light connected them. Through that link, he saw a vision, the dark tendril again, curling around Thalen as he slept, forcing memories inside him like stuffing into an old sack. It wasn't just stealing, it was collecting, trying to build something whole. Something perfect. Thalen's voice broke. If you follow this path, little one, you will find the truth. But truths taken from others never come gently. The lantern's glow tightened around Pipthorn's paws. The next step would lead him into a garden where memories bloomed like flowers and wilted like stolen hearts. Pipthorn had imagined many strange places during his journey, but nothing prepared him for the garden of borrowed moments. The lantern guided him through a narrow archway woven from silver thorns. On the other side lay a vast meadow glowing softly under drifting lights. Thousands of flowers swayed in perfect stillness, each bloom whispering a memory that didn't belong to this soil. Some petals glimmered with laughter. Others trembled with sorrow. A few flickered desperately, like they were calling for their owners. The garden wasn't alive. It was remembering. Pipthorn stepped carefully between the blooms. With every footfall, the lantern hummed in sympathy, its golden tear-shaped flame trembling as though overwhelmed by the sheer weight of memory scattered around him. Then he froze. One flower stood apart. A small, pale blue blossom glowing with the same silver shimmer as the ribbon he carried. Pipthorn kneeled beside it. The bloom opened, slowly, painfully, and a faint meow spilled into the air. The kitten's meow. Willow. A vision burst across Pipthorn's mind, the little kitten wandering through Whisperwood, frightened and alone, calling out for someone she trusted, calling his name. And behind her, the shadow creature lurked, stealing memories she tried to cling to. Willow's paw prints faded in the vision, ripped away mid-step, like her path had been swallowed whole. Pipthorn touched the blossom gently. Its glow dimmed, showing him one final image, a tunnel of darkness leading into the Forbidden Valley. And at the end of that tunnel, a heartbeat made of stolen light. The lantern of memory shook violently in his paws. The creature wasn't just taking memories anymore. It was preparing to become something, and it needed Willow to complete itself. Pipthorn swallowed. The Hollow Valley awaited. And so did the truth. The Hollow Valley had always been a place whispered about, not visited. Every creature in Whisperwood knew its name, but none spoke of it after sundown. As Pipthorn crossed its threshold, he understood why. There were no shadows here. Not because of light, there was almost none, but because every shadow had been taken. The valley was carved from stone so pale it looked drained of color. Vines hung motionless, as if time itself had been stolen. The lantern of memories pulsed erratically in Pipthorn's paws, its glow bending toward a cavern at the valley's heart. Something inside was breathing. Not like an animal, but like a storm caught beneath the earth. Pipthorn stepped closer. The air trembled. Golden strands from the lantern stretched forward, pulling him into the cavern's throat. And then he saw it. At first, it seemed like a cloud of drifting ashes. Then the ashes twisted, forming limbs, melted faces, broken silhouettes, shapes flickering in and out like memories half remembered. The creature wasn't solid. It wasn't even alive. It was made of everything that had been forgotten. Voices leaked from it, hundreds of them, whispers from stolen squirrels, from the river, from Thalen the owl, from Willow. Willow. Her small cry rang through the chamber. The creature turned. Dozens of borrowed eyes blinked open across its shifting form. And with a shudder that shook the stones, it spoke through a chorus of stolen memories. I only wanted to be whole. The weight of those words crushed Pipthorn's chest. The creature wasn't a monster by nature. It was a puzzle missing too many pieces. A being built from absence. But in its center, Pipthorn saw something trapped. A small silver gleam. Willow's last memory. The keystone piece. If he didn't free her now, the creature would complete itself. And Whisperwood would forget everything it had ever been. The creature's shifting form towered above Pipthorn, its stolen memory swirling like a storm trapped inside glass. Willow's last memory, her tiny silver gleam, flickered weakly at its core. Without it, the creature could never feel whole. But with it, Whisperwood would lose everything. The cavern trembled as the being leaned closer, dozens of half-faces whispering through it. "Give me your memories, Pipthorn, and I will finally become real." The lantern of memories pulsed sharply in his paws, hot, urgent, pleading. For the first time since he found it, Pipthorn understood, the lantern was not just a container. It was a guardian, a living keeper of the past. And he was now part of it. Pipthorn took a trembling breath. "What you want, you can't take," he whispered. "But you can be given." The creature froze. Pipthorn lifted the lantern high. Its flame burst into a radiant blaze, brighter than moonrise, brighter than dawn. A single golden tear formed inside, his own memory. Pipthorn's childhood, his first winter, his mother's soft humming as she tucked him under warm leaves. A piece of himself. He opened the lantern. Light spilled out like liquid sunrise. The creature recoiled, but the warmth touched it, sank into it. Its ghostly body softened, dissolving the harsh edges of stolen memories. Voices quieted. Colors returned. In its center, Willow's memory loosened, drifting free like a silver petal. The creature whispered, not in 100 voices, but in one, small, trembling, childlike. "Thank you, for sharing." Its form unraveled gently, turning into drifting sparks that floated upward like fireflies finding their way home. The lantern dimmed. The valley breathed. And at Pipthorn's feet, a small kitten's memory shimmered, waiting to return to its owner. Whisperwood would remember again.